Good. Is it okay? Perfect. Great. Thanks. We can get started then. So good evening and welcome everyone to the Police Services Board meeting, Tuesday, May 10th, 5:30. We will start with a roll call. It looks like everyone is in attendance with the exception of member Bill Unger. He may join later on. So we can move on. Disclosure of interest. Anyone? Okay, seeing none, we can move on. Number 3, confirmation of agenda. Bobby, do you have a resolution for that?
That the Aylmer Police Services Board approves the May 10th, 2022 agenda as presented.
Okay. Any issues or concerns with the agenda as presented? Anyone? Seeing none? Okay, could I have someone to move that, please?
I'll move it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Thank you. And all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moving on, adoption of the minutes from April 12th, 2022. Bobby, do you have a resolution for that?
That the Aylmer Police Services Board adopts the April 12th, 2022 minutes as written.
Okay. And could I get someone to move that?
I'll move that.
Seconder? Thank you. Any concerns with the minutes as presented? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moving on to delegations, there are none this evening. Moving on to unfinished business. First item is the Police Service Board policies. Nothing at this time. And
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just want to bring you up to speed on board policy. So we were able to get updated policies from another service that I'm taking a look at right now, and in comparing it to what our old policies were like. Theirs were done by a consulting firm, and I think it would be a good idea to adopt some of the policies that they have had done professionally by a professional firm, which would satisfy our needs, keeping in mind that I'm not sure when the new PSA Act will take effect. I don't suspect it to be, based on some of the conversations that we've had, I don't suspect it'll be done, especially with the provincial election coming up. I don't foresee anything happening until early next year. So if we go over the policies that I was able to secure for the board, we may be able to get 90% of it done to satisfy today's needs. And then whatever changes have to be made based on the new act when it comes into effect, we can make those changes, whatever that 10% is going to look like at a later date, if that's what you want to entertain.
Feedback from members?
That seems to make sense.
Anyone else? Okay, so it probably would make sense to add this item. Well, it will be on unfinished business for the next meeting. We can certainly have them circulated and for review, and then we can go back over those and figure out what's going to suit us, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, the direction I was sort of going to go with this is compare the two, and then make sure that we have what we need, and then take some of the ones that they had and plug it in to fill in some of the voids. But at the same time, making sure that our local needs are also addressed through that policy as well. And then once that's kind of married up between the two of them, then the board can have a look at the draft proposal.
Okay.
And go that way. Otherwise, if you have 5 or 6 people taking a look at, we may run into an issue with consistency.
Sure. Yep, Pete, go ahead.
So the chief and deputy are going to put that draft together?
Yeah, I guess.
Thank you for that.
Okay. So that makes sense to go that route. We're good. Anything else as far as the policies, board policies? Okay.
Nope.
All right. We can move on. So the next item on the agenda is the bylaw 1-2022 PSB procedure bylaw, the third and final reading. There's been discussion on that as presented. Any current questions or concerns? Yes, Pete.
Thank you. So just to make sure that we're all on the same page, the 14-word suggested change that's incorporated into the new document.
Let me pull that up here. Shoot. All right. I gotta stop sharing here. Bobby, while I have a look for this info.
Yes,
Pete.
through you, Madam Chair, the suggested changes have been made, and that was what was forwarded out to the members. So it should be current.
Let me just pull it up. If I can find it. There we go. Sorry, everyone. Okay, can everyone see the screen that I'm sharing?
Yep.
Okay.
See the
So
beginning.
as Bobby has stated, everything in this document that was shared is what was reviewed. And yeah, any questions or concerns on that? Was there anything else that someone wanted to bring up in question?
Madam Chair, just to clarify, I haven't seen the revised document. Can you scroll down to that section then?
Yeah, which section was it again?
Right there,
Right there. Yeah.
Part
Yeah.
four.
Yeah.
Does anyone want me to put up my hand and make a suggestion?
Certainly. Yes.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Are you so you've reviewed this and you're good with it?
I'm good with it, thank you. Right.
Okay. Anyone else? No. So we are good to move forward. And did you want to review this, Member Barber?
I was
Do you
just
want
trying
us to go through it?
No, I was just trying to clarify that as the police chief, the chief would be responsible to sign off for the police service, and the chairperson of the board would be responsible to sign off for board members. And I just haven't seen that yet.
It's in number 3, the third paragraph down.
1, 2, 3.
So upon return from a convention, seminar, workshop, etc., the board member shall complete and submit a travel expense claim form to the chair of the board, and a police officer or staff member will submit the form to the chief of police or designate with all eligible receipts attached for the purpose of reimbursement.
Okay, copy that. Thank you.
And so that satisfies the needs that everyone had concerns with. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That was
I'm
the
okay
only
with it.
outstanding issue I believe that we had with the procedural bylaw. So as long as we're all in agreement, Bobby, if you could read the resolution, please.
That the Aylmer Police Services Board gives third and final reading to bylaw 1-2022, being the board's procedural bylaw.
I
Okay.
so move.
Right.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any final thoughts, concerns, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And I'm assuming everyone's hand is up.
It is.
Remember Barbara as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And that is carried. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for input. Bobby, thanks for all your work and looking at all that information up. It's appreciated. Okay, now we can move into new business. And that is, there is nothing that I'm aware of. So we can move into reports. And we will start out with 8A, the police budget. So I will share. I'll try to make this bigger. And if you have any questions, please just speak up and just, ask as we go, unless you want to save them for the end, but it might be easier as we go. So, all right, I will leave this to the chief or to deputy chief, depending on who's presenting this evening.
Okay, through you, Madam Chair, I'll present tonight. The overall budget that is on page 9, so it's your first document there. We're total salaries and wages full-time, 32%, which again, if we look at the projected over the course of the next 8 months, should be around 96 to 98% in total. If we look at some of the other expenditures, those are the necessities going to the next column as far as the vehicle costs and all other direct operating expenses. It's at 40% right now because what we're doing is some of the stuff that we need to purchase those items are being purchased right now. And I suspect that as we go into the next 4 months and then the last 4 months, those items will reduce in costs because obviously we have already acquired the required equipment. So you're not going to see a significant increase beyond the 40%, or certainly not over the 100% of the budgeted items. Contracted services, we're on target there as well at 28%. So nothing out of the ordinary there. Rentals and financial services, no issues there. We're at 22%. The grants, we have not received a lot of our grant funding as of yet, although it is slated in there as a minus on our budget. So far, we received $25,000 from the Ontario Police College for the one member who's seconded there. And the grant funding for the provincial and localized initiatives, that's been approved. We just haven't received the funding for it yet, or it's not reflected in our budget. So you'll see a significant increase there as we go throughout the year, which will obviously reduce our overall police expenditure. User fees and service charges, which talks about records checks. Obviously, it's a good initiative for us as far as the record checks. We targeted $3,500 as a revenue generator this year. We're already at 2265 or 85 or 65% of what we targeted. I would suspect that we're likely going to be around that same mark that we had last year at $8,300 in revenue generated there. So again, that's a plus for us as well because it ultimately going to reduce the overall policing budget at the end of the year. So in a nutshell, we're operating at 35% so far this year, and that's certainly on target to stay within the budget that's been allocated for this year. Going into the Police Services Board budget.
Chief, before you move on, one question, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we purchase enough gasoline to qualify for fleet pricing, or do we pay pump price when we buy fuel?
Well, actually, what we have a cooperative agreement with the fuel service just down the road here, and they are at a reduced price. I'm not sure how many cents per liter they're cheaper, but we have looked at that in the past, and they are cheaper than if we actually went to the pumps. So that's the Elgin Feeds is the pumps that we're utilizing, and their fuel per liter is cheaper, or we pay cheaper price than what you would pay at the pump.
Are there any buying co-ops available for police services where a number of departments would purchase fuel in bulk?
I believe we utilized Esso before, but we ran into issues with them, and I don't believe that there was any kind of a savings there at all. And Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that there's a cooperative on fuel purchases similar to what we would get for purchasing cruisers.
Okay, thank you.
No, currently there is nothing in place in the town. I have been exploring this option with other departments in the town, you know, fire, public works, to see if it's something we should look at. I know down the road in St. Thomas, their public works houses a fuel depot for all their municipal vehicles, and they buy it in bulk. So I'm just waiting to see if that's something the town should look at, or if there's going to be any cost savings there.
Thanks.
Right.
Okay. Let's try to get on the right page here. So going into the Police Services Board budget, nothing out of the ordinary there. Operating at so far this year at 31%. I don't see anything that jumps out at me that would cause me any concerns with the budgeting so far. And again, on target so far for the first 4 months, where we would be certainly well within the budget by the end of the year. Any questions on either of the two budgets beyond what was asked?
No.
Okay, moving on to the Police Services Board quarterly report and the crime statistics. Crime prevention for the month of April, we had 2 Crime Stoppers tips for a total of 3 for the year. Domestic violence high-risk meetings, I attended 1 in the month of April for a total of 4. Usually they're held every month. We have 1 meeting just to discuss some of the cases from OPP, St. Thomas, and Aylmer based on the high-risk offenders, and if in fact they should be monitored. So that's what that program is all about. Community events, we had 3 for the month of April for a total of 5 for the year. Foot patrol hours, 35 hours or 35 incidents for 34.75 hours. A total is 144.5 for the year, pretty much consistent with what we had last year, so no issues there. The bicycle patrols have commenced now. In the month of April, officer conducted 4.5 hours of bicycle patrols. We are sending 2 officers on the course next week, I believe it is, in London. We have purchased another bike, so we will have 2 bikes accessible to the officers that are trained. And following the course, we'll have a total of 4 officers who are going to be qualified to be part of our bike patrol unit. Focused patrols, total number, we had for the month of April, 27 hours that were dedicated to focused patrols for different initiatives in the community, and those hours were logged in by the officers. Criminal charges for the month of April, we had 4 adults, 1 youth. Total is 31 for the year, with 4 youth. Drug investigations, we had 3 complaints, 3 have been solved, and 3 resulted in charges. And again, total number of drug charges for the year is 23 in comparison to last year of 4. And again, the significant increase there is as a result of the 2 warrants that we executed back in March. Public internal complaints, no issues, no complaints received. 911, we had 16 calls in the month of April, total of 48, which is slightly down from last year, but still relatively high. Assistance to other agencies, 98, consistent to what we've had last year. Total for the month of April was 31. No sexual assaults this month. And again, the sex assaults that we have investigated year to date, all have been solved by way of charges. So that is good. Violent crime rates, we only had 2 for the month of April, a total of 22, which is significantly higher than last year when we had only 10. And most of those are common assaults and those kind of things. We had 18 of them have been solved by way of charge for a total percentage of 82%. MCM, OSAR, and Y-Class, no booklets or major case management was completed for the month of April, simply because we didn't have any incidents related to those 2 issues. Total for the year is 3, 4, and 3. Property crime prevention programs, we had 1 for the month of April for a total of 4. Social media posts, pretty high this month. We had 86,400 views, 182,000 for the year in comparison to last year at 148. Again, that is a good tool for us to get lots of messaging out and keep the public aware of different things that are going on related to policing. Clearance rates for the property crime, we had 10 incidents of property crime. 1 has been solved, total 45, 6 solved for a percentage of 13% so far. And again, these do fluctuate month to month simply because the officers assigned to property crimes, or if they have a property crime, if further information comes available to us later on in the year or the following month, then that's captured in our following month report. So I kind of adjust that a little bit as we go along and do a year-to-date comparison in terms of property and violent crime rates. School calls, we had 1 for a total of 3. School visits, we had 6 for the month of April. So our VIP program, I believe 3 of the schools have opted into the program again, and the officer who is assigned to that has been doing in-class VIP program delivery. So we had 6 for the month of April, 9 for the year so far, and they're pretty receptive to at least the VIP program. The HLO has not been, there's been no decision on the HLO program as of yet. We're hoping something in the fall will come out of that. Diversion, we had one youth diverted. 1 trouble with youth call, and total for the year is 7 in comparison to last year when we had 4. Situation hub meetings, 4 for the month of April, total of 17. No situations from Aylmer. Unsolved follow-up calls, we had 79 follow-up calls done by the officers for a total of 278 for the year. Very consistent to what we've had last year. Traffic charges, provincial and speeding, had 80 for the month of April, total of 344, slightly above what we had last year. Liquor charges, 1 Other provincial charges, we had 10, and criminal code charges, we've had 16, for a total of 100 for the year. In comparison to last year, we had 58. Ride program, again, officers completed 4 ride checks for the month of April, a total of 30 for the year. 2,800 vehicles stopped, relatively consistent to last year's numbers. 41 warnings, and 36 roadside tests have been completed during those initiatives. We had 3 impaired drivers in the month of April for a total of 6 for the year. We had no use of force reports completed for the month of April. Prisoners processed, we had 2 males, 2 females, 1 youth. 4 have been held for court, and 1 was released. And the numbers are relatively consistent with last year's numbers. This year, we did hold more people in custody as opposed to releasing them, simply because of the type of charges and the previous criminal record checks and the non-compliance with orders and those kind of things. Training, 2 officers completed in-service training, which is a mandatory requirement for the year. A total of 8 so far, 0 courses, 0 seminars in April, 96 hours for a total of 560. Again, very consistent with last year's numbers. Budget, I already talked about that. A lot of good work again being done by all 4 platoons. A and B platoons investigated and charged the person with threats, impaired driving, and mischief. C and D platoons involved in obstruct police charge, escape custody, impaired driving. Myself and Nick were busy with meetings and liaison for the ALPR grant funding program. The newly created crime position, we had 3 drug cases which resulted in charges. That officer also was responsible for investigating a mischief where a charge was laid. There was also assault police, threats, and failed to comply with order charges by the crime unit member. So a lot of good work is being done by that one officer in the crime unit. And that's my report on the crime stats. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. Hearing none. Again, looking at the charts, so far, violent crime trends, we're at 22, so pretty much on par with what we had last year, if the trend stays that way, so no concerns there. Property crime, a little bit on the at 45 right now, so we may be right on the same ballpark as we had last year, and certainly it should be less than what we had in 2020 and 2019. So on par with that. Again, drug crime trends significantly higher than the previous years, obviously because of some of the good work that the officers did in the execution of those 2 search warrants, and that kind of dried up some of the drug activities in town as well. Domestic disputes, nothing out of the ordinary there. It looks like we are going to be, if the trend continues, probably below last year's. Motor vehicle collisions, no issues there either. Right on par with what we had last year. 911, again at 48 right now, so we should be lower than what we've had last year, but again, this is one of these things that continues to be a bit of an issue for us, because we do have to send a response for those ones that we cannot confirm, or there's a bit of an issue with making sure things are okay at these calls. So we still send in officers, but we do have that program where we sometimes do not attend simply because we verified that it is a false alarm call. Foot patrol hours, again, good hours are being put in by the officers, and with the nicer weather now, you'll see an increase in that as well. Mental health calls for service, we're already at 28 this year, so I suspect we're going to significantly exceed that number this year. And again, part of that is the fact that people are more open to call in and report people who may be suffering from mental health. The MCERT worker that's tied to the program is doing a great job for us, and certainly doing the follow-up with some of these people is a great thing. Tomorrow we'll be doing a tour with a new initiative in town that an agency has put together, and we'll see how that works for us, and to see if we can divert some of our mental health people, homeless, and other social issues into that service there, and see if we can help those that are in need in the community with some of these social problem issues. So I'll report to the board next month as far as that facility and what it's all about.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Anything related to the crime charts, or anybody has any questions?
Well, Chief, I have a question, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
As you're aware, the color of the flashing lights on school buses will be changing effective in September. In that half of the warning lights will be amber and the other half will be red, as compared to all red now. The intent is to advise traffic that the bus is about to stop, and that'll be the amber lights, and then the reds will come on when the bus is physically stopped and picking up or letting kids off. Is there anything that we should be doing to kind of get that message out to the people, or do we rely on whatever the province is going to do, that the expectation is still there to stop?
Right, yeah, we'll be sending out a message once that comes into effect, probably just before, either a month before or a week before. We'll send out a message to our social media and also regular media, so people are aware of that. I suspect the reason behind that was very similar to the thought process of traffic lights, where they go amber, red type of thing. So it alerts the people that yes, there will be a there'll be an expectation for you to stop prior to the red. But again, it gives you just that bit of a leeway that if the bus is not fully stopped, you don't have people slamming on their brakes and doing all kinds of things, perhaps causing collisions when in fact the bus is not completely stopped yet.
Okay,
We'll just kind of watch that as we get closer.
Okay.
Yep.
Chief, I have another question, if I may.
Yep.
Looking at the mental health statistics, and you indicated that those are increasing, and certainly last month you mentioned that the mental health issues were the kind of number one in terms of police response with domestic disputes and drugs following those. I was just curious about one of the lines in the report. You don't need to try and find it, Sherry, because I don't know where you can find it. But I noted it was called mental health and elder abuse training. I got a comment. I have a comment on why both of those are kind of lumped together, but that's another issue. But the mental health and elder abuse training, and nobody's kind of gone on those. Is that the result of the fact that they're just not being offered? Because it would seem like a very important training for police to have at this time. Okay.
So that component was added in there prior to me taking over from Andre, and the reason behind that is we do have crisis intervention training. We're talking about actually implementing that for the officers again. So some of the officers already have that training. So once the training is done, you're not going to continue to repeat it. But as we get new members into the service, and I actually talked to the people that delivered the CIT training, and we are going to set something up perhaps either this summer or in the fall for the officers to get that training, the ones that don't have it. So you'll see a number plugged in there, but it's one of these things that it's a one-off. Once you have that training, then that's the end of it type of thing. So I'm not even sure if it should be added into our monthly reporting, because it's not something that you do on a monthly basis. Certainly, once all your officers are trained on CIT, and like, I mean, they're not there to be counselors for these people, but
Right.
certainly some of the things that they would recognize or perhaps de-escalate the situation just by receiving that CIT training.
Okay.
So we will be doing that initiative. I would say, based on how summers go, I would suspect that we'll have something in place by the fall. And at the last meeting, when I met with CMHA and the MCERT worker, we actually did discuss the need for the training, not only with us, but also the OPP.
Right. Yeah. Given the importance of mental health and the significance of it across the province and homelessness and that kind of thing, you'd think that the province would offer this kind of thing more often, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? If not, meetings for me for the month of April, situation table, 4 meetings. Myself and Nick invited OPP, Elgin County, and St. Thomas PD just to have just a general discussion about some of the challenges that they're facing and some of the cooperative things that we can do together type of thing. So it's one of these things that we sort of reinstituted after COVID to be able to sit down in person and just have some meaningful discussions on who's doing what and what we can do together to sort of share that workload, or some of the initiatives that they're doing that perhaps we could implement and vice versa. So it's a good way to have those discussions and be on the same page. CAS, I had a meeting with CAS regarding one of the domestic cases, just to sort of be on the same page in terms of reporting procedures. No issues there. I did attend the Justice Pillar meeting to discuss some of the issues there. And Nick and I interviewed a part-time member for a potential part-time position that would help us out throughout the summer months. I'll have more for the board at the next meeting on that. Budget for
Chief,
April.
what is a Justice Pillar meeting? What type of discussions do you get involved in?
Well, the Justice Pillar meeting is basically discussions around some of the cases that are ongoing in different jurisdictions, where we're at, how do we approach certain cases that we have. Obviously, with the COVID being gone now, do we have to just an understanding of why they take certain positions on certain cases that perhaps are where we would think that they should be going to trial, that they're resolved by way of a peace bond and those kind of things, just so we're on the same page there.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
Annual review, business planning targets have all been achieved. No issues there. All grant funding report backs have been submitted. We received ALPR grant instructions, and Nick and one of our acting sergeants will actually be working on completing that grant. It has to be in by the 3rd of June. The report is pretty much finished now. Nick's going to put the final touches on it, and we will be getting the funding for, I believe, 2 units. Nick, if you want to expand on that for the board, so they have an understanding of where we're at with that.
Sure, Chief. So the province instituted a funding platform when they took away the validation stickers, that people had to pay for validation stickers. So money came available to municipal services. There's a survey that we completed as to how many vehicles we had in our fleet, how many ALPR systems we had, which we only had one. So what they've offered is up to $30,000 per unit. It's a one-time funding cost, and we were successful. We should be able to get 2 units. So all 3 frontline police vehicles will be equipped with the license plate readers, and all the money and installation costs will be covered. I've already got quotes for the new systems, and we should have everything covered with that grant money.
Okay, no questions on that. I'll continue on. Follow up on COVID issues. We seem to be experiencing almost on a weekly basis now where somebody either is exposed to or tests positive for COVID. So that's been a bit of a challenge. Obviously, as soon as somebody tests positive, we have to make sure that they sort of stay away for 5 days until the symptoms are gone. That required me and Nick to cover some of the day shifts due to that, and also the courses and the time off requests that have been submitted by the officers. So it's been a bit of a challenge for the month of April for us, but we're managing with the resources that we currently have. Other direct operating expenses, no issues there as far as that aspect of our budgeting. And my daily activity report for the month of April, you'll see a lot of yellow there, and that's all assisting with shift coverages just because of the things that I talked about. So, and again, Nick and I sort of do the split there, so it works out well for the day shift anyways. And that is my report, Madam Chair.
Great. Thank you for that. Any questions or concerns for Chief or Deputy Chief from members? Okay, seeing none. Bobby, do you have a resolution, please?
That the Aylmer Police Services Board adopts report items A to G of the May 10th, 2022 agenda.
Okay, could I get a mover for that?
Move it.
Okay, seconder? Sorry, did someone raise their hand? I can't see everyone, so.
I seconded that. Sorry, I
Okay.
was on mute.
Oh, that's okay. No, thank you for that. So any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Yes.
Perfect. And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to incoming correspondence. So the first is the announcement from OAPSB on the new executive director. Great bio, and if you've had a chance to read it, you'll probably agree. If not, it's good to have a look at that and be aware of who the president is. For the executive director announcement for the OAPSB. And the last item, this was great to see. So this was a letter to the police services in Aylmer from Chloe, who was very kind in her response on doing her placement with the Aylmer Police Services. So always great to see those things.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just to expand on that, I mean, it was nice for her to write something like this, but it just goes to show you the importance of having those relationships with community colleges and give these people a bit of an opportunity to see what policing is all about. Whether she ends up here or somewhere else, it doesn't really matter. That's beside the point. What really matters is that they're exposed to the policing environment. And certainly the officers that we have here, we can speak highly of their professionalism and the willingness to actually take these people on and work with them for the period of 240 hours. And obviously, it's a win-win for everybody. So we actually, in consultation with the Fanshawe College, they had a bit of a challenge in filling the placements for some of their students, and they cannot graduate from the program unless they have these 240 hours of practical experience in the field. So we have agreed to take on another student, which will be starting next week with us, to give them that opportunity and certainly send them on their way and be able to graduate from the program. So it is an important piece that we give back to the community, and certainly, obviously, based on Chloe's response here, it's really appreciated to be able to get them on their way and to hopefully policing field somewhere.
Agreed. Thanks. That was a great update, and I couldn't agree more with your statement. Any questions or concerns or anything to add to that from any members?
No, it's great.
Okay. And Bobby, do you have a resolution for that?
That the Aylmer Police Services Board adopts correspondence item A and B of the May 10th, 2022 agenda.
Okay, and I'll need someone to move that.
So moved.
Okay, seconder, thank you. And any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that is moved. Thank you very much. So the next item would be closed session. There is none this evening. Next meeting date is June 14th, 2022, 5:30 p.m. same time. And the final item is the adjournment.
That the Aylmer Police Services Board does now adjourn at 6:17 p.m.
So moved.
Great. Seconder. Perfect. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right. That is carried. Thank you, everyone. It was a great meeting, lots of information, and we will see you at the next meeting. Have a good night.